Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeromy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeromy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
All right. Oh, let me fix that real quick. I'm not sure. Speaker view. There we go. Welcome, everybody, to 1% Tribe, The Prize Inside. Tonight will be a pretty good one. It's we've done a low back podcast before, but sometimes it's really good to go back and hash it out because it's been like a year. And so I was thinking, I was going through all the different conditions each time. If you've never been with us for the 1% Tribe before, we go into three things. We look at thoughts, toxins, trauma. So we look into those three areas of health and vitality. One of the reasons is because your innate intelligence is the best when those three things, thoughts, toxins, traumas, do not interfere with the body's ability to heal itself. And so that is why each week we go through a different one. This week just happens to be the physical. And so we've done, if you're not a member of our stuff, which I got, oh my gosh, you guys you guys did really good. I'm up to 77 subscribers on Rumble. So if you look up The Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey on Rumble, and look for this little icon up here. Let me put my banners up so you can see those. So Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey on Rumble. Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey on YouTube. You should be able to find them. And that's where you can see all our old videos. So my hope is we'll have like a plethora, like a library you can look through. In fact, one of my friends asked something on Facebook about plantar fasciitis. So I went back and I was like, well, an easier thing than just throwing information at them is like, hey, I could just stick you this hour video. You can look through and see if anything's helpful there. So on 1% Tribe night, we do that. We go through that. And tonight's sciatic nerve decoded, integrating movements, mindset, and natural healing. So I have a few. I'm glad I said that to you guys. I got to make sure I got my YouTube area ready to roll. Found quite a few things on YouTube that we'll go over tonight. I just want to make sure. There we go. Okay. So we got a few different ways we're going to look at this, but this is one of the more complexities. That's one reason it could be a 3-part series, honestly. So one of these days I may do that and just go 3 weeks in a row on something just like headaches or sciatica, because they are complex. So, but before I do that, I want to give you my exciting news. On Wednesday night, I have this coming as an interview. Oops, hang on. I got to show you. This is going to be cool. Something that I fell in love with. It's called the Fermentation School. Fermentation schools where you can get all these cool, look at this, sauerkraut, how to make sauerkraut for $12. All kinds of amazing articles and classes that you can take. And one of the creators is coming to do a interview with me. So that'll be flipping fantastic. And I believe it's the one that gave me the lemon dill for sauerkraut recipe. So if you've been on here before, you've heard me talk about it. Still make it to this day. Still one of my favorite fermented foods. But I'm so excited they said yes. So hopefully on 8:30 on Wednesday night, Whole Health Weekly will be an interview. So with that said, hopefully, the other thing, last thing, newsletter. So there's a newsletter that goes out. If you miss things in here, we send out like a newsletter that we can put now in, like, we can take this whole podcast, put it into AI, and it like literally makes a nice newsletter out of it. But I also do a newsletter every Tuesday of just like happenings and interesting factoids maybe we didn't get into in here. So that is called tribe1.substack.com. Tribe1.substack.com is where you can find that, and then you can keep track of all that kind of stuff. So with that said, I won't keep you too long tonight, like I say every time, but here is our presentation tonight. Sciatic nerve pain decoded. Integrating movement, mindset, and natural healing. Now, we're going to not be able to go crazy into this, but once you understand the mechanisms of things, then we can kind of get into, like the depths of it. Because, and I say that lovingly because there's a lot here that we can go into. And I go into a few different things on the old video. So if you go back, if you become a Rumble subscriber, go back to the one we talk about low back pain and osteoarthritis, I think, back then. But so just remember, it's a complexity, and that's what we're going to have to go over tonight first. What we're going to go over tonight is sciatic nerve, explain the many causes to this situation, because it's not just a disc herniation. And that's one of the biggest problems we have, is the lack of understanding of what is happening back there. And then, of course, once a disc herniation, apparently that's the only thing that can actually cause sciatic nerve, which I'm going to tell you that is not the case at all. And so that's been our biggest issue in a lot of these things. Some great solutions. We'll go into all areas and we'll dive into those. And then let's see what we can do to implement them. Okay. All right. So here is the biggest. Let me get my little icon. Just don't forget that icon up in the corner, guys. That's what'll get you to my prize inside on Rumble or YouTube. Okay. So, because I'm going for that 100 subscribers this year. It's happening. I'm at 77 right now. So I'm pretty pumped. So we have to stop thinking in terms of the sick care model. So before we begin, let me explain something critically. Number one is there's back pain all over the world. It's one of the number one health things that everyone spends money on worldwide. One of the reasons is because we have this giant sick care model of health. And because of that, when we get into stuff that has many, many layers of different things that can do these kind of things, our system really, really struggles. And so that's why, we get into this where, somebody might not have, just this stuff happens all of a sudden, right? And we're going to explain why, how, and hopefully give you guys some really good tools of discerning, what you can actually do to like make this a different thing, because right now our sick care model leads to essentially like, let's say you have to replace your spark plug in your car. So we replace the spark plug, right? Back pain especially doesn't bode well for especially that kind of system. And I want to talk to you about that first as we do this thing. Okay. So we have to have an understanding that the sick care model that we currently have is failing miserably as it comes with back pain, especially in particular. The main reason is that the back has so many moving parts, you just can't just replace it, inject it, or give it a chemical, and then all of a sudden everything's okay. Similar to different types of car repair, we put this in the going into the repair shop versus we should really look at it because, there's a body, it needs to go into the body shop after a wreck. So if you want to use the analogy of a car, this isn't something you go in and get a spark plug. You don't get your brakes done, like those kind of things. This is, hey, I hit a deer. Not only did I dent the side, I got the hood, I got the engine, I got the parts, I got the electrical. All of these things are something that's going to take time, right? And it's a bigger process. That's one of the problems that we have with back pain, because we try to stick it in with, put a Band-Aid on the cut. It doesn't, maybe you can get away with a little of that sick care model in those kind of situations, but in back pain, it's a lot different. And sciatic nerve is one of the bigger signals of your human body telling you, oh my God, we need to do something. The car is screaming at you. Okay. So we have to approach back pain as if we're going to repair the frame. We're going to paint the thing. We're going to replace some parts. We're going to on and on and on. Okay. So think that way in terms of what we're starting with. Okay. And it's a big deal because once we get into how to correct some things, it is a major part of what has to happen. But we have to stop thinking in terms of the sick care model. This is not a one and done situation. And I'm going to show you why and it'll make a lot more sense to you once you see it, because there's so many layers of different types of tissues that lead to the overall bones of your lower back. So you have all these different layers of situation. Your spine is like the last thing right before your spinal cord. So how is it you think that nothing went wrong on the way to your spine? Come on. Got to be a lot of stuff on the way to that spine, right? There's also a deep amount of movement patterns. The movement patterns are what, I really want to, talk to you about tonight. So many things rely on this low back working properly. It has to be one of the most solid things in your arsenal at all time. So our job in holistic is to get to the root cause, to the root of what is happening layer by layer by layer. But here's the problem. It could be 5 layers of things going off. So we have to start understanding how to take care of it. Okay. Think about the amount of bodily functions that come off of, let's say, your low back. If something happens let's say somebody breaks their spine, low back, upper back, what happens? They're paralyzed from the waist down. They have problems with urination, going to the bathroom, eating, all of the alls. Okay. One of the biggest things is like understanding that going forward, that we have to do something with all the different layers and understanding all of these different layers to truly understand getting to a level of back air, like to this new found confidence in back issues, and especially sciatic nerve. I heard one this week before I keep going. It kind of got me kickstarted on this. Elon Musk was doing an interview for some webinar, and he was talking about just what the future holds and AI and all those kind of things. That conversation was okay. It was like, this is like I've heard him say that before. But what he said was the announcer's like, well, you're a trillionaire. You can get almost anything you want. And he's like, isn't it funny how a trillionaire has back pain? A trillionaire has back pain. And with all the magic and potions and the most, this is what was crazy. He said it on the interview. He's like, A trillionaire ends up with 3 neck surgeries because the first one didn't work correctly. Holy crap. He's a trillionaire. Think about that. The reason that is because the system's wrong. The one that he gets the joy of is a system of sick care that he'll have the best experts in the world in sick care model, right? But if you would get into my 1% tribe, my chiropractic philosophy, understanding how many layers you actually have to do to get this low back to do something different, maybe his journey would be a little different. But I'm guessing if you have $1 trillion and you snap your fingers, you get whatever's going to take away the condition the fastest. So I just thought that was fascinating, as we go. So what we have to do is simply get to not necessarily the root, because there's so many mechanical things, but it is our job to spend more time, to have more an in-depth conversation of exactly like how this is working, because it's such a critical movement pattern. Okay. So this is what typically, if you're on the podcast right now, typically what a person would show you, a disc, and this does happen. Okay. So this is not a denial of this, but this is what a disc bulges out. That bulge kind of hits this area where the nerve would pass through, and it causes the sciatic nerve pain. Okay. Very common, very interesting. Chiropractic actually does really, really well with this. Contrary to popular belief, a lot of times we know what we're doing on this. Depends on the condition, but it's pretty amazing. But here's the problem. Most of the time, this is the only thing we're rabbit hole and pigeonholed to. Okay. We're thinking that this is exactly where the pain of the sciatic nerve comes from. There's no doubt that pain on the disc. Why? But why? Look at the disc above that's not yellow. Why isn't that doing anything? How about the disc below that? Why is that not like blowing out? I thought they just blew out. Oh, wait. Something has to do that. Oh, wait. So a disc is a joint. Yeah, so a disc is a joint. But if that joint's not working right, maybe it causes a problem. Maybe it causes undue stresses. All right. So now I got you thinking a little different, maybe. And we're going to go into that. Here's another picture of a disc. But here's what I want you to look at in this picture. Okay. So this picture has a disc with the little swollen or bulged area. But you see how the back side of this has these little joint looking things? So those little joints are called facets. Okay. And there's actually 2 of those. And we're going to show you a few of those that if they're not moving properly, they're going to cause some problems where you would have major issues at this disc as well. Okay. I think this will be a good spot. All right, let's do this one and then we'll go into some videos. So here's the different types of discs that everybody wants to talk about. So we have the thinning one. See how it gets a little thinner. It's just not as big as the other. That's osteoarthritis kind of coming in, making that disc kind of not being the right thing. There's the herniated one. The herniated type is the one you hear about, and people, oh my God, I got a herniated disc in my back and it's over. Life, like those kind of things. And that's the one that actually bulges kind of backwards into the spine and nervous system. Then you have the degeneration one, where it's osteophytes, where I essentially think of rust on a hinge, because discs are joints. Okay, just don't forget that discs are joints, and so sometimes if that joint doesn't work right, then it starts to go away, because your body's like, well, if you're not going to treat this joint properly, I'm just going to get rid of it. That's kind of what osteophytes and disc arthritis is. You can have the bulging disc. The bulging disc is where, and things can happen. You can have trauma, like we talked about before. And then you have the degenerative one, where over time, these discs lose their vitality. Okay. So these are all different kind of disc formations. And I don't want us to get hung up on these, but this is what I'm talking about with sciatic nerve. Okay. So there's lots of different things that can happen with sciatic nerve that are actual disc problems. There's also some other things we're going to talk about that could cause it. Let me see what my next slide is, and then okay. So let's go into, I'm going to share some good stuff. So, well, before we do that, the key tonight is to try to understand that when we're talking about discs, we're talking about sciatica, especially chronic people that have sciatica. It's a pattern of movement. It's a pattern of muscle. It's a pattern of ligament. All of these things. It's just not these discs. The discs are your last ditch effort. Okay. Your body, think about your body having several layers of protection in your movement pattern. Okay. So all of a sudden you have your spine under all this muscle. Why do we have our spine like way deep under all this muscle? Is because it's like your suit of armor over that entire nervous system. That nervous system then communicates to the rest of the rest of your body. And so that's one of the major communication patterns. But see how deep it is compared to the rest of it. Innate intelligence, the universal God is not stupid. It's going to put that piece under a bunch of thick muscle, ligament, all kinds of stuff before it gets you to have some kind of injury in there. Okay. So a sciatic nerve is no different. But we have to look at like, why would a disc get swollen? Why? Why would one disc? Why would two discs? Why would three discs become this way? Do we think that our body is so they just start breaking? The disc you were sitting there one day eating popcorn, boom, just pops? No. The mechanics of the human body. Okay. And even beyond chiropractic, just the day-to-day operations of how we walk, how we work, how we play, all of these things lead to, if we can get this good mechanics going in the right direction, something different. Okay. And so that's what I want to go over. I hope I do a good job with it in my videos. Okay. So I picked a bunch of different ones, but I wanted to show you this guy first. So this doesn't matter what it is, but we're going to go. This one's an abnormal gait.
If you're a founder who owns a business, then
I just want to show you. So on my podcast version, you're going to watch a guy. We're watching a guy do an altered biomechanics when he was walking. Now, I just grabbed these. He's talking about a Parkinson's one. Okay. And it's kind of an old film, so it's a little fuzzy. Okay. Right here. Visualize your low back in this situation. Okay. So look at how far forward he is. Look how much torque there is to just get back there. Okay. So he's walking. He's being a little exaggerated on a Parkinson's type gait. Okay. The Parkinson's people that I know don't walk that dramatically different, but they do have the Parkinson's shuffle where they are over the top. Now, I'm only showing you this because people walk like this on a regular basis. Okay. So there's one. Okay. So let me go give you, this guy had a bunch of them. Let me look. Oh, dang it. Let's go to here. All right. That's not a good one. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. This is pretty good. Okay. So I like this one a lot. So we'll go here first. So this one is a example. You're looking at the pelvis from behind. Okay. So he's going to go through the normal, like how your body is supposed to react to the earth. Okay. So as we go, hopefully we'll start seeing that. Now, here is this is very dramatic, but you can see how this person's legs and everything are off to one side. So their right hip is way higher than their left. This is what they call the Trendelenburg gait. It's an abnormal one with certain muscles that are weak. Okay. We don't care about that as much as about, like even in chiropractic, when we were learning this stuff, we go, ooh, this is this sign. But what it really shows is like, why? Like, why did that happen? Why? What was it? Oh, man, it could have been that injury that happened a long time ago that caused so that would be a Trendelenburg gait. Let's see if they give me another. Let me go back. Watch this lady walk. Okay. Okay. We can pass this stuff. Okay. Sorry about my films. So what they're showing is as soon as you raise your leg up, the pelvis just goes crazy down. Okay. Let me find another good one. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can find a good. Oh, come on. It was really hard to find good videos of like altered gaits. And so here's a good one. Just if you're looking at the picture, you see the difference in like how your hips are normal and balanced. You have this one, and then you can have just your pelvis all being unmovable, right? So I'll stop sharing for now. Those didn't turn out as good as I wanted. So the biggest thing is like understand the movement pattern from your feet through your hips, everything to your head even. So the entire framework of the human body makes up for what is going to happen in that low back. Okay. So many times in chiropractic, people want us to just adjust, and do all those kind of things. A lot of times when we start looking at these different patterns, and we'll talk about that in a minute, we have to look further. Okay. Sometimes it is just a loss of communication with the chiropractic adjustment. We put the communication back. Okay. We put the communication back in order where we adjust you. The spine nervous system starts working properly. Those muscles start getting the integration that it needs to, right? And then you start living life again. That'd be great. But here's the problem. Let's say it's been happening for years, right? Or your body was able to adapt for a long, long time. What I really want to focus you guys on is asking the bigger question. The sick care model gets us to a certain point, even in chiropractic, because we have to meet you where you're at. When somebody comes in with sciatic nerve, the number one reason why a person that's never been to a chiropractor comes to a chiropractor is because they have a pretty significant sciatic nerve. Usually, this is just a thought process, but they really don't want to take a bunch of pain drugs or some kind of drug that they know inherently in their brain is not going to be good for them. And so a lot of times in chiropractic, you'll get somebody feeling pretty good, that low back, that adjustment, those, whatever exercises we show you get you to a really good point. But there's another level. And that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about in the sciatic nerve aspect of things. When people have this more than one time, it's really one of those things where making sure on a regular basis that chiropractic is in your world is a huge deal. In fact, for the next, I've been practicing 26 years. My next 26 years is going to be to really hone in on understanding everybody's, even their movement patterns, all of it, right? Because if I can understand the entire movement pattern, if we can train into a new movement pattern, plus get them better through the chiropractic adjustment, which is you have to have that piece just to have the communication patterns correct. And once you start doing that, the sciatic nerve stuff, the mechanics start working better. The disc starts to uninflame, which is, it actually does happen, ladies and gentlemen. It actually will reduce, right? And the biggest thing is like, as we go forward, it's a much better, much stronger situation. Story on myself. I had to tell a patient, I forget about these things because you're in the world. Rachel was having our first daughter. So it was me, Rachel, and Gina, pretty much. That was our office when we first started. And we're getting busy, and Rachel's about to have this baby. Well, I'm covering the office. And of course, as God throws those challenges at you, I get this horrible sciatic nerve issue that is just pretty bad. Some of you that have had sciatic nerve know what I'm talking about. It's just bad. And so it feels like you can't do anything. You're uncomfortable in your own skin and that leg and that nerve pain, all that blah, blah, blah. So as I was working on people, I didn't have much of a choice to do anything but keep working. And then from that work, in between patients, I would try to lay down and try to ice or do something, right? And this is really what got me kickstarted too on my herbalist journey way back when, like going, man, I can't believe how good this was. It's similar to the one we have at our office. It's called Inflicom that we have now. Back then it was a different company, but it was called Scalatia. And Scalatia was a white willow bark, turmeric, ginger, those kind of things. And I figured if I'm going to OD on something, it might as well be a food herb. So I decided, you know what I'm going to do? As this was going on for, Rachel could do what she could. She could easily adjust me. But the problem was I was going back into, having to adjust people the next day. Well, I started taking, I started understanding, especially when your first baby's coming, it's a lot easier to start taking care of yourself. But I backed off and I said, listen, no matter what the pain is, what is the rules? Thoughts, toxins, trauma. Okay. So in my head, I said, all right, I'm going to take my mind off. Best way to do it, go to work. Go to work. For me, that was what it was. Toxins. I'm going to eat as clean as possible. So I don't want any inflammatory foods like crap, fake sugars and everything. So I got rid of all of that. Then I started taking some turmeric, ginger, that kind of thing. But I was eating it, like the supplement, I was like every 3 hours. And then I would have Rachel check me like every other day, or every day if I needed to, making sure I did all the ice and all those kind of things, movements, all those, and as the sciatic nerve, was horrible, it got better. It got better. And one of the coolest parts of my world is that I didn't have to take anything for it. And it was pretty bad. I put it on a scale, but if you ever want to talk to me about the whole thing, the idea of 2 to 3 weeks like that, but your body makes it anyway. And that one reason I do the 1% tribe is look what my brain went to. Your body needs no help. It just needs no interference. What are you doing? So I adapted the way I was adjusting people at that time. I kept the movement going, tried to stay in good posture, doing all those kind of things. Started taking and get rid of the inflammation, all of those, right? But it was a journey. After that happened, I was like, man, I can't have this happen again. So, of course, I'd stay getting adjusted on a regular basis, still do to this day, getting it checked all the time, making sure. Started doing a lot of exercise patterning that went directly with it. Do you think it was strengthening? Nope. It was learning how to walk. It was learning how to run with the proper biomechanics. It was learning how to adjust with the proper biomechanics. All of those things mattered. Okay. And it was because sciatic nerve is more than just a condition. It's something that your lifestyle is choosing to show you. It's a pattern. Remember where we talk about the subconscious pattern? It's a subconscious program that we have to rewrite. And that subconscious program is within us. Okay. So we have to go from not just chiropractic, not just anti-inflammatory, the whole thing. Let's pattern this out so that our success, you don't have to live with that low back pain all the time. And if Elon Musk wants to get on the prize inside, I will show him. But he has to understand, I'm not going to give you a one and done pill. It's a patterning. It's a process. We have to figure out where you're at and as you progress throughout. So, gosh, hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Okay. So, and I'll get you into some good ones. My gait analysis ones were terrible videos. So, podcasters, you didn't miss anything. So, here is a question. So, why just look at the one disc? If it's a massive body problem, right? So, we need to look at everything. The key is balance, strength, calibration. Okay. So balance, strength, and calibration. In my opinion, I would like, if I was anybody with chronic back pain, I would get my entire spine, nervous system checked out on a regular basis, but start with at least once. See where we're at pattern wise. Look at all the joints of your body, making sure that all of it's from the tip of your neck all the way down to your toes. Okay. We then may have your doctor, and I do this with patients all the time, video yourself walking. See where your overlays are. Sometimes you can pick it up without me. You can just watch yourself video. Like I did it with my golf swing. It was hilarious. Like Lexi, my youngest, videoed me golf swing. Oh my God. I was way shortening up and all this stuff. And then as soon as I corrected it, it was a lot better. So video yourself walking, watch those patterns, see where your feet are. You're going to notice it just as much as I would. But if you have trouble noticing that, how are your feet? Are you walking straight? Do you understand gait analysis like we've done in other videos? Are you walking where your heel, side of your foot, toe is off? Or are you just pounding, everyday pounding? The most of the ones that I see in chiropractic and low back is typically people that work a lot of hours. There's a couple. Either you work a ton of hours or you sit a ton of hours. Those are the two major ones. So if you work a ton of hours on your feet, a lot of times we start not pay attention into how our feet hit the ground, and that leads to multiple other joints starting to become issues on the way up. If you sit on the regular basis, your low back doesn't know what to do with that. So it becomes a major issue because you're not supposed to sit for 8 hours a day. Our body is not designed for that. Our body's designed to do like 8 miles of walking, like nice light, collecting berries, walking with intervals in between of rest, not sitting down in a chair for 8 hours, right? That by itself, that one's not really about the discs as it is all the stuff, the ligament weakness, the muscle weakness that can happen with all of those things. And so a lot of times people get introduced to chiropractic because of the acuteness and that we can recover from that. But where do we go from there? And that's where calibrating your spine, strengthening it after that fact, and then constantly keep checking it with the imbalance, you can be really, really good. Okay. Okay, so we'll go into this first. So balance. Imagine your body in different planes of movement, forward, backwards, side to side, twisting both ways. Anymore. As life moves on through play, work, school, sports, recreation, we begin to have patterns that emerge over time. These patterns dictate how our joints of the body work over time as we age. When we learn from a young age imbalances that oftentimes begin to follow us throughout our lives, we begin to see the pressure on these joints in various areas of the body. By having these imbalances, the innate intelligence of our body is too busy working too hard to rebalance the body, and then it starts to show wear and tear on all the joints throughout the years. Remember, your innate intelligence is so profound, it can make massive adaptations to the matter it has to deal with until that matter begins to show the limitations. Okay, so here's an example that we see all the time. This is a good one to show you tight or weak. So this is what our constant, probably 90% of our population looks like. Our head should be, our ears should actually be over our shoulders, right? If they're not, then you have this major, major imbalance. So think about your shoulders should rest above your hips. And that's a very, very big situation there. Okay. So if it's not doing that, I thought, oh, darn it. I thought I had one. All right. So let's look at, let's find you a good one. Oh, okay. So let's look at this one and then I'll quit boring you. So let me get on here. Oops. Hang on. Okay. Let's get through this. Okay. So look at all the layers, just the amount of stuff attached to your lower back. I'll let this guy actually
get there. So let's put the diaphragm aside for a second there. So before I kind of start talking about some of these muscles and how they connect to different symptoms, I want you to just appreciate how much muscle tissue I've had to remove so we can actually get there. So I've left the right sides completely intact. I've not really removed anything there whatsoever. Whereas on the left side, I've removed everything in the way. So I have to remove obviously the external abdominis, abdominal oblique, the internal obliques, the rectus abdominis, the TVA, even like all these muscles that make up the abdominal wall. We're going to remove the linea alba as well there, just so you can see it from both sides.
Okay, so this is stuff I'm absolutely so jealous of students nowadays, but look at that. Look at how many muscles. Look at how many muscles in different joints are actually attached just to those lumbars. Okay. So really this picture, let me go into, so any of this is super important to understand. Okay. Here's a good shot.
So the transverse processes.
Okay. So see how many muscles and all those things. These things are these little joints in the back. These are called facet joints. And so them plus the discs makes a 3, sometimes 4 and 5 joint mechanism for just one vertebrae. Okay. And the reason I'm bringing all of these up is one clear picture. Hopefully you're getting what I'm putting down. Sciatic nerve is way more than just disc, hot. I'm going to put ice on it. I'm going to take an anti-inflammatory. It's over. We must figure out what is going on. Look at how many muscles just in that one picture are having that one could be tight, one could be loose, one could be this way, one could be that way. You have to see, one of the biggest mistakes I see is 2 things. One, doctors somehow, if they start with a medical, this is a true, a lot of times if they start in the medical world, then they end up with anti-inflammatory, muscle relaxer, and painkiller. Okay. Mechanically, you're going to feel better, just like you would if I got you drunk on whiskey. Okay. The idea is that it's a good move, I guess, to do those kind of things, but we have to figure out the why. And sciatic nerve is very, very specific in saying, okay, this is the area. We know where it's at. It's one of those discs, right? Or one of those joints. It's near that where those nerves are coming out of your body. Could it be a muscle? Could it be the nerve? Could it be all these different things? And what we get caught up into is like, it's this thing and it's over. But why, right? Is it because you're sitting on your butt too much? Is it because you're walking too much? Is it because you're lifting 50-pound bags of whatever? And we have to get better at all those motion patterns. And that's where a lot of your sciatic nerve will, and I could give you a bunch of the, that's why I always think one of the biggest things in online stuff that drives me nuts is like the cure-all. It gets rid of sciatica in 2 days. It get rid of the sciatic pain in 2 days. That's cool. Didn't tell you crap about what's actually occurring. So with me, I always try to sit through and go, okay, when does it happen? Why? What's this patterning? I had a friend that went through it pretty severe this week of the sciatic nerve. He had never had this before, so it really messed with him. And we were trying to just figure out because, like for me, he's worried about getting out of pain. I'm trying to figure out how he did this. Okay. And so a lot of times, because if I can understand the mechanics, we can kind of go backwards, kind of like reverse engineer what got his body in that stressful situation. We're getting there because this guy's an avid golfer, but he wasn't golfing. Right. So we're getting there because I think he sat and twisted just perfect, like in a chair or, did something that was a little awkward in that situation. But now we know. And then it was much easier to say, okay, these are the stretches. These are mechanics. Right. And tonight is really about understanding, figuring out that whole process. So am I sitting in a chair? Does it get on fire? What are those things that we can do? Okay. And from a holistic spot, it's going to take more time, right? So that is the key. All right. I'm going, okay. So strength, we're going to show you a couple videos of this. I'm not going to read all that. I want to show you one strength. I'm running out of time. God, I knew this was going to happen. I always run it. Low back I could talk about for days. This is just like a touch. So tonight, okay, I'm going to give you one really, really good strengthening one. I want you to add it probably at least once a week into your regimen. It is one of my favorites now. And it's like the stupidest, easiest exercise ever. This is crazy. All right. And you've all passed it in the gym. You've passed this. Are you ready? This one is called the Roman chair. The Roman chair. Now, all of them are built different. This one just has your heels like linked up here. Most of them have it down on the floor. But this Roman chair going straight up and down. Now, the reason I love this, there is not one other exercise out there that puts you into the motion where you're having to lift your entire body basically the opposite way a lumbar disc does most of its day. Okay. So this one, I do as many as I do sit-ups. Okay. And this guy is really, really good at it, actually. And he was getting some good motion on there. Now, here's where, well, don't worry about that one for now. So, and here's another look at it. No, I think this is just a sales video. Ladies and gentlemen, if I had to one exercise in my arsenal to tell you to do, that back extension exercise right there would do it. Why? Because what do we do when we sit? We're bending forward. When do we do when we're looking at our phone? We're bending forward. Our back extension core is so incompatible with our front extension, or because we over sit up actually, because our core is much stronger than our back core. So there's a front core and a back core. Okay. And our back are those hamstrings and the glutes and all those things. Once you get onto it, and I guarantee it's at your gym in the corner, just dust it off and then do as many reps on that thing as you do sit-ups. Okay. So that's my strengthening one tonight. So I apologize. I knew I did too much. All right. And I did it anyway. Calibration. So for calibration, we talked about it. So for calibration of your spine, if you're having chronic low back situations, let's look at all of it. Okay. So there's two things. One, stick with your chiropractic until we figure it out, right? Just because the pain goes away doesn't mean the condition's gone. So a lot of times I'll tell people, stick with it. Take a video of yourself walking. Evaluate what you're doing at work, right? One of my buddies, he'd get a horrible sciatic nerve. How he made it through this whole thing for years, I don't know. He doesn't have any major issues anymore. And one of the reasons is he just kept being consistent in care, and we learned a ton on what he could do. He was bent over mechanically inside a truck half the time. And so once you understand your own mechanics per day, if you're sitting on your butt every day and you get sciatic nerve, it's going to be bad. Okay. So we need to make sure that you go, okay, what is my movement pattern every single day? Okay. That means if I'm sitting, I want to go and do extension. Okay. So that Roman chair, if you get nothing out of this tonight, Roman chair is the one. Okay. All right. Because I got to be quick. I only got 6 minutes left. Oh, man. All right. I try to keep it to an hour, but this one might go over. All right. Let's go through some toxins real quick. Hopefully you know this. If you're my 1% triber people, we have to get rid of the toxins. That's what's wreaking havoc. Because where's all the fake chemical crap, sugars, all those things? Where do they go first? Into your gut. Where's the nerves to your gut? Oh, yeah, that's your low back. So if your gut is inflamed because you just ate a bunch of ho-hos, donuts, sugary whatevers, right? And your body's like, what the heck is this crap? And it loses its mind. What's going to happen first? Back pain. Back pain. Have you ever had, some of you have had food poisoning before, I'm sure. What hurts? Stomach for sure. Back pain, right? It does happen, right? So remember that. Toxicities, and talk to Jeromy about gut health. Getting your gut detoxed can be one of the biggest situations. One of the things that helps sciatic nerve a ton, people don't even think about, is having regular bowel movements. I had one MD. I could give you one MD. She moves. Oh my God. It was so crazy. So I'll get these MDs, and I got some really good ones around. But being in this 26 years, sometimes you got ones that don't exactly like Jeromy very much, right? So Jeromy doesn't know what he's talking about, blah, 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 right? That's, the old witch doctor thing. They know best, blah, blah, blah. So this one, though, this lady, she was a female doctor out of the Marshall area. And, oh, my goodness, the first time she sent me a person, I'd never seen her name on there. And she said, oh, yeah, she uses chiropractic as a kid. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. So she sends me over this person. We get along great. I'm like, well, that's great. A new doctor over there. Well, the next person she sends over, huge sciatic nerve problem. And it was interesting because this person could barely move. This doctor knew to get her in, this lady in as fast as we could. So we got her in quick. I said, so what did the doc do? She's like, well, she told me that you're going to adjust me and then I'm going to ice the crap out of it. But she gave me a bowel mover. I thought that was weird. I go, no, that's exactly what you want. She goes, because this lady didn't want pain drugs or anti-inflammatory or anything. I go, that's genius. Is it for a medical doctor to think that way? What you're doing is you're stimulating the colon and the intestines to move. Let's say, or if, a lot of times you can be constipated with your back going out on you as well. But by having everything move and flow, sometimes you can get that back to help calm down because remember your immune system and all those things, you want it to be functioning as best you can. Well, the next time I saw her, she was like, that is crazy. She was almost 100% better after like 1 or 2 times. And so I thought that was amazing. Now, every situation's different, guys. Don't think, oh man, if I get a bowel mover, my chronic low back pain will go away and I'll never have to like think about it again, which is exactly what the sick care model wants you to believe. But it was a good process. Okay. So that's where a lot of this is. Fake sugars, bad gut bacteria. And if you have bad gut bacteria, you don't know. Even if you eat the good stuff, it can cause back pain. Okay. So that's why getting a good person to work with on gut detox is critical. All right, so we're going to skip this because it's in my other presentation, but here is some things that could cause back pain, the sciatic nerve actually, other than, well, we'll skip it, but there's kidney-related stuff, there's GI problems, there's all the different gut things, IBS, IBD. These are all things that can actually cause you like sciatic and low back problems. A lot of stuff like endometriosis, ovarian cysts, uterine fibroids, and pregnancy hormone type stuff. I wanted to throw you that because it's not just a disc. See what I'm saying? The reason I said this is in our world, it's always about the disc herniation for some reason. So great gut health. We went over that. Okay. So now let's go through. I love ending these kind of talks. I hope this was good. Let me know. I feel like I was all over the place. I was going to show you one more. Oh, I'll end it with one more. Here's another good one. I love Dr. Oh my gosh. Eric Berg is one of my favorites on, it's a 10-minute one. I'll put him in the comments below. But Dr. Eric Berg, B-E-R-G, has a really good one. Just put in sciatic nerve, and you can really see some of the stuff he suggests as well. But my last one is always thoughts. Okay. So thoughts is a big one, and I could give you so many different stories on this. This is why I wanted to get to here. So we have obviously know toxins, right? Our gut and low back are connected. So if I'm eating like, crappy and I got sciatic nerve, maybe stop eating crappy. That will help a lot because your gut, all of your microbiome is hooked to your lumbar area. Okay. So if that is off, then you're going to have problems. So our last one is thoughts. Okay. So thoughts is a big one because I see this a lot. This is a very true statement and it helps with healing. I wouldn't say it like what I've seen. I don't know if it necessarily causes the low back to happen. It could, but I always love the idea of understanding those thoughts and working on those as well. Right. So all this stuff you can work on with this. All right. So here's what some sources say represents what happens with low back. Lower back pain reflects a fear of financial instability or a perceived lack of support. So one of those two. I can't afford this, or I'm not secure. It may also stem from suppressed emotions like guilt or shame tied to money, relationships, or personal worth. So, when the lady that I follow always says that we don't care where it came from. We don't care. That's the old program. So what we need to do is build a new program. And that's all we got to do. And so we don't need to discuss and go over like all those different reasons why it's there. But if I can create a new program, maybe I can tell the innate intelligence of my body to heal it up a little bit. So for lower back, here's the affirmation. I trust the process of life. All I need is always taken care of. I trust the process of life. All I need is always taken care of. So I thought that was a fantastic situation, something to make sure that you understand all the thoughts processes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it tonight. Man, I didn't go into as much fixing and, those kind of things. There's tons of videos out there for sciatic nerve on this stretch. You touch your nose here, you put your, but it really comes down to understanding what's happening in that low back, really grasping it, really understanding that the disc doesn't get inflamed by itself. The joints, the pain, it doesn't come there by itself. We have to figure out why. And one of those whys, it might be a thought, it might be a toxin, and it might be some trauma that you didn't know, that you've been adapting to in movement patterns and everything else. And so that's what really puts sciatic nerve over the top. A lot of times it's a very doable condition. The problem is this is probably my number one that we must separate this out of the sick care model. We go until you can't go, until it's fixed or until you feel amazing, right? There's no visit number. There's no whatever, but that's up to you. That's not the society we live in. Isn't going to be like that. It's not going to say, because Jeromy said we should look at the low back in a holistic. We're going to give you many more visits and all the stuff you need via insurance, right? Or whatever. That's just not the thing. And that's one of the hardest parts of being holistic and understanding. You don't want to go down you want to hit as many, see how strong your body actually can be. I've seen it myself in real time. But I've also seen if something happens with low back, let's say you had to have back surgery or something, it's not the end of the world either. The human body can adapt to that as well. So I don't want to sound like a doom and gloomer. I just want us to get our system better. Our system in our system. We're never going to make our system better. See what I'm saying? It's you, me, and your system. Once we understand that, we've got to quit waiting for, the guy with the white, the knight to come and save us. We have to learn our own system. And once we do, it's kind of interesting how you can break free from a lot of those things. So as we say that, the other thing is, if you are interested, I've created a low back strengthening course. Very simple. I think it's a few bucks. It's not bad, but reach out to me. I don't think I have any connectors to it. Yeah, I don't have anything. Reach out. It's on, I think it'd be under Myers Chiropractic Academy on Teachable, but that's too much to go through. So if you're ever interested, reach out. I'll go get you a link for it. We can start there, because a lot of times that one goes through the thoughts, toxins, trauma, and gives us a good game plan of some great stuff we can start doing, at home. Because remember always that health is really, really about the journey. It's never, if you short up the destination, you're taking a shortcut that nature needs all the time it needs. You know what I mean? So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'll see But get out there, subscribe to the 1% Tribe, the Prize Inside on Rumble, and we will see you Wednesday. I'm super pumped about our interview with the Fermentation School. So with that, you guys have a great night.